Hare Krishna, welcome. Welcome everybody. Nice to see you all. So let us continue the journey through Karma Yoga. And today we are going to cover slokas 3.29 to 3.31. So if you can keep the slokas in front of you, I will play them now.
प्रकृते गुणसम्मूढाः सज्जन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान् कृत्स्नविदो मन्दान् कृत्स्नविन्न विचालयेत् मयि सर्वाणि कर्माणि सन्न्यस्याध्यात्मचेतसा निराशीर्निर्ममो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगतज्वरः ये मे मतमिदं नित्यमनुतिष्ठन्ति मानवाः श्रद्धावन्तो न सूयन्तो मुच्यन्ते देवि कर्मभिः.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so let us see what Krishna is doing here in these slokas. Because here Krishna is doing something very delicate. This slokas is not just adding more philosophy. What he is doing is he is making sure that he corrects any confusion that is sitting in Arjuna's mind. And this kind of confusion lives in all our minds too. That is why it is delicate and very important. See, Krishna already has shown us that what we think is action is actually the movement of gunas, the interaction of gunas and the whole play of Prakriti. That is why he said, if you think you are the doer, he said it is just very delusional. Everybody remembers, or any questions there? Everybody remembers, okay. So after explaining all of that, now Krishna is going to something a little more subtle, where he's beginning to show now what happens if this truth is not understood properly, and how we should handle it with care. So in 3.29, Krishna is saying, Prakruteha guna sammudaha sajjante guna karmasu. Those who are deluded by the gunas of Prakriti, they become attached to the activities by the gunas. So Krishna is using the word sammuda. It is not just a little bit of lack of clarity, but it is a fundamental mistaken understanding of what is happening within us. So these are the people who are being controlled, who are being influenced by the gunas, but they don't even realize it. And that is why they think that what they do, their actions are their own. Because in truth, it is not their own at all. In truth, it is all a play of the gunas, nature, prakriti, so many forces. I don't know if you have yourself experienced this, or if you have heard somebody else say this. Many times, many people, especially those who have done something wrong or something bad, they will say, I can't believe I said it. Or they will say, I can't believe I did it. Have you not come across such examples? What does it mean? That basically means if they were in complete control, they may not have said it. If they were in complete control, they may not have done it. But they still said it, they still did it. That is what Krishna is talking about. Krishna is saying, you think that you are completely in control, but you are not. So that applies not just to wrong things, bad things, that applies also to good things. So we should have the humility and honesty to acknowledge that is Krishna's message here. It's very important because our tendencies, habits, fears, longings, the kind of memories, so many things, they're all impacting what we say, they're all impacting what we do, but we don't even realize it. Just like that, when something arises out of sattva or rajas, we take credit for it. And the mind will say, I decided, I achieved. And at the same time, when something bad happens, the mind will go into this thing of, oh, I failed. Or even worse, I am a failure. And Krishna is saying, be very mindful of all of that. So Krishna is using strong words here, and he is speaking of those who are Kṛṣṇa vidaha, that is, people who have partial understanding, and even mandan. There are people who do not yet see deeply. But Krishna is not talking about these people with contempt. He is not insulting them. He is just describing the human condition, the ordinary human condition, where most people don't even know how much of their life is being shaped by all these forces that we neither understand nor acknowledge. We believe that we are completely free to do whatever we want. We believe that we are completely free to say whatever we want, but we are not. We are actually pushed by our gunas and vasanas. The problem is not that they are bad. The problem is that they don't see clearly. And that is Krishna's message here. And then he's saying something very beautiful and very compassionate. He's saying that one who knows the whole, that is the Kṛṣṇavit, they should not unsettle them. Na vichalayet. Do not disturb them. Do not shake them. Do not violently break apart the little understanding from which they are presently living. See, this teaching is very important. This is related to what I said in the past sessions, where I said in Vedanta, unsolicited advice is kind of not recommended. So here we will see very clearly why. And Krishna is very beautifully explaining that. So Krishna here, so when he says that do not try to force, do not try to violently, shake such people who don't know the full truth, he's not just talking about truth, he is talking about the responsibility that comes with truth. It's a very important teaching. Sometimes there are people who will say, I'm very truthful. There are people who will say, I always speak the truth. But knowingly or unknowingly, these people create a lot more problems than the people who probably don't always say the truth. Why? Because just repeating what you have heard or repeating what you have read, that alone is not just truth. Truth, does anybody remember? We spoke about this earlier. So Satyam is important, but we said there is one more virtue that has to be taken care of when you exercise Satyam. I know it's slightly difficult question maybe. Let's see. Okay, yes?
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Fearlessness, that is courage to acknowledge that we...
Okay, good.
And
we
then,
definitely need that. Sorry, and Deepaji, you were saying something?
You have to use your viveka, discernment.
Correct. There is one more important aspect. Okay, second round. Yes?
yeah, fearlessness should precede truthfulness. That is, we have to be...
Okay, you are all missing one very important aspect. This is very important. Anybody who thinks they are truthful, anybody who thinks they are practicing truth, for them this is extremely important. That one thing which is really important is ahimsa. Ahimsa will precede Satyam. So for example, this was a very popular example we discussed earlier, where a saint is sitting under a tree meditating, and at that time a person comes running towards him saying, please help me, please save me, there are these robbers who are trying to kill me, they are chasing me. So the saint says, okay, you can go behind and hide inside my old well. And in a few minutes, those robbers catch up. They come and they ask the saint, have you seen a guy running from here? Now what should the saint do? Should he say Satyam? Yes, he's hiding in the well. Or should he say, I don't know, tell a lie? You see the dilemma? Because he's a saint, he is committed to the spiritual path. How can he lie? So here is where the teaching is very clear. We need to know. That is why they say, partial knowledge is very dangerous. If somebody has only heard about the importance of Satyam and nothing else, they'll be creating trouble for so many people. But the complete teaching in this context is Ahimsa supersedes Satyam. So there, if he had said, go and, that guy is hiding under the well, then he was going to cause harm to that guy. So in that context, it was okay for him to give importance to Ahimsa and say, I don't know where that guy is, I didn't see anybody. See, now that is not a wrong thing to do there. Similarly, Kṛṣṇa is saying, you may know the truth, you may know what is the right behavior, you may know what is Vedanta. The other person does not know. But it doesn't mean you irresponsibly go and shake them up. No, because you have to also keep in mind whether it's going to harm them, whether it is going to hurt them. That is, at a high level, that's what Kṛṣṇa is talking about. The teaching may be true, but the way it is imparted may become harmful. Like a person may know something correctly, but still use it wrongly. That is Kṛṣṇa's message here. And this matters. This matters a lot for Arjuna. Why? Because if you remember, let's go back to Arjuna. Where is he? What is he doing? So Arjuna is not just asking questions at this juncture. He's not just asking questions. What is he trying to do? Arjuna is trying to escape. He's trying to escape discomfort. He's trying to escape pain. He wants to run away from a terrifying duty. And he wants that withdrawal to look noble. See, I'll give you the example. Let us say Kṛṣṇa just said, Arjuna, there is no real doer. Karta ham iti manyate. We just read earlier. Ahankara vimūಢātma karta ham iti manyate. So he could, Kṛṣṇa could have just stood up and said just that much. He could have said, there is no doer. You are not the doer. What would happen? He could have easily misinterpreted the teaching, and he could have said, oh, that means I don't have to fight because anyways I am not the doer. You see how a teaching can be misinterpreted. It can be misused. Or when Kṛṣṇa said, everything is because of guṇas, it is a prakriti, then Arjuna would have said, so that means me running away is also guṇas? You see? So they could have misinterpreted, and is it going to be helpful to Arjuna? It would actually be harmful to him. So Kṛṣṇa does not allow that. So Kṛṣṇa gives the truth, but he gives it with responsibility. Maybe now you understand why Kṛṣṇa has taken 18 chapters and why the Bhagavad Gita has 700 slokas. That is one of the reasons why I never encourage or recommend people who say the Gita ka sar or essence. The Gita is not just like a sugar cane, right? To just squeeze it and take 2 drops from it. There is a reason why there are 700 slokas. There is a reason, because you cannot give half knowledge. You cannot give knowledge without context, because otherwise it would be taken, misinterpreted, misused. That is Kṛṣṇa's very strong, powerful message here. So if you look carefully, what Kṛṣṇa is teaching here, it tells a great deal about how human beings actually grow. Very few people are directly born into clarity. Very few people are directly born Mahatmas. Most of us, we grow slowly, we grow gradually. And until we grow, most of us, we are acting from mixed motives. Like when we do something, like I think I was chatting with Kahan earlier, we have to introspect on whatever we are trying to achieve, whatever we are trying to accomplish, where is it coming from? What is the driver for that? And then if you introspect honestly, then you will realize it could be anything. It could be fear of failure. It could be because you just want to be respected. It could be just because you want to feel needed. Or it could be just because you have family pressure or some insecurity, or you just want to feel worthwhile. A million such things are there. But all of these reasons, they are not coming from a position of calmness, fullness. They are not the highest motives. However, Krishna's compassionate teaching is. However, it is still a platform through which that particular person is still learning. That particular person is learning steadiness, they are learning about discipline, they are learning about responsibility. And now Krishna is saying, so what should the wise person do? Should they just go and take away that platform from that person, pull it from under their feet? Then what's going to happen? It's just going to shake them up. It's going to break them. No, it's not going to really help them at that point. Because that is the platform that they know. That's the platform they are standing on. It may not be the highest platform, but it is still their platform. It will make sense once we go a little more deeper. Like I'll give you maybe a very simpler example. Maybe that is easier to understand. Have some of you tried to learn swimming? How many of you have tried? Okay, at least we have few people who say they have tried swimming. And you all know that in the swimming pool, you always find some people who are dead scared of water. So they will either be clinging to life jacket, whatever you call it, or we used to just call it floaters when we were kids. We didn't even know what it is called, so we would just say a floater pen ke ghum raha hai. So there are some of these people who are clinging on to those things to stay afloat. But you are a good swimmer, and you know that is not the right way to swim. But what is your rightful thing to do? Should you just go and snatch that floater away from that person and pull it away? He may drown, yaar. He may be hurt, he may be harmed. That is Krishna's message here. There is no point now talking to that person about there are these 50 styles of strokes. There is a butterfly stroke, there is a freestyle stroke. You should do this, you should do. Baba, but for him at that point, staying afloat is what he's trying. That is his priority. So, what is the right thing to do? You have to deal with the person with patience. With patience, with compassion. Start from where they are, not from where you are. That is why they say unsolicited knowledge is not recommended. So if a person is full of ego, if they are full of arrogance, if they are full of delusions, don't directly go and start talking about karmanye vadikaraste. It's not going to help them. There you have to go to their level, and if you have the patience and compassion, slowly help them, step by step. But don't try to force anything. It's the very, very strong message there. Because they are not ready. First make sure they are ready. Just like that in our family, let us say we know somebody is doing a great deal, they are carrying a lot of responsibility, and they are managing a lot of things, they are making a lot of sacrifices. All this seem noble? Yes, everybody is saying all these are noble things. But what is their mindset? Internally, they still want appreciation. They want to be acknowledged. They need some reassurance that their effort matters. This is also, some of us may identify with this, right? We do a lot. We sacrifice and, we carry the burden and we support the family members. We do a lot of that, which is good. But in our mind, we are still seeking recognition, appreciation. So many expectations are there. Now imagine there is another family member who has heard a little bit of Vedanta. And now they go and confront this person directly. They are like, why do you feel the need for recognition? Why are you attached? This is all just ego. See, they may sound spiritually correct and maybe what they are saying is right. But in that context, what they are doing is not really healing. It's not really helping the other person. Because it's only going to result in hurt. Or it may result in guilt. Or it may result in loneliness. Because that person, although he was imperfect or she was imperfect, she was still trying. Trying to do what she thought was right. But now because of you going and pushing your Vedanta onto them, saying, why are you expecting appreciation? It is your ego, blah, blah, blah. Then what happens? Now that person feels judged. That person is not feeling guided. That person is just feeling judged. And who among us really feels good about being judged? Nobody. So what have you actually done? So you can say Satyam, but that is the truth, that you are full of ego, you have ahankara. But is it helping? It is only hurting. This is Krishna's message. So be very careful. That is what Krishna is trying to say. So he is saying, real wisdom will be different, where you have to first honor the sincerity, honor the effort, and try to first address the insecurity the person has, and then slowly you have to build trust and so on and so forth. So the same thing happens in communities, spiritual communities. People don't always come for enlightenment. People don't always join satsangas and spiritual communities for the highest truth. Many times they are joining maybe because they just want a sense of belonging, maybe because they want relief from some pain, maybe because they are just feeling lonely, or maybe they want some recognition, so on and so forth. So many reasons could be there. But if you come across as on day one, if you're going to say ego, ahankara, drop this, drop that, don't have attachments, don't this, the poor person will feel so confused and so distraught that they will just not even continue the journey. I hope all of this is making sense. The beauty is this teaching that we are talking about. First of all, Krishna is saying that wisdom without compassion, wisdom without patience, easily becomes a form of hinsa. Hinsa is violence, even if it sounds correct. So it's a lesson for all of us. And why this lesson is more beautiful is because it applies not just to how we deal with others, it applies to how we deal with ourselves. Because we are often the ones who we disturb most harshly. If you can introspect and ask yourself, who has been the harshest to me? Many times the answer will be me. Like we hear a teaching about surrender, and then sometimes we may become angry with ourselves. Why am I not able to have that blissful surrender? Something is wrong with me. Or you hear a teaching about non-attachment, and then you start judging yourself. But hey, I still feel the need for love. I still feel the need for appreciation. To see something wrong with me. So we carry an image of what a spiritual person should be, and then we try to project that onto ourselves. This is the same thing. Inner harshness is what is the result. And so Krishna's teaching is kind of a quiet kindness for our own path as well. Is this making sense? Has anyone here done that? Has anyone here been harsh to themselves or trying to judge themselves? Okay, we have a couple of hands. Yes, Soumyaji, is there any striking example?
Like most of these examples belong to the corporate life, but I think I can quote one. So there was a time when there was a project that needed to be done, and I had done all the gap analysis and everything that I had to do from planning perspective. So when I started to push that program out for implementation, I was sort of like instructing the other people to complete it in 2-3 weeks. I have done most of the work. All you have to do is just read and just implement it in your team, and then ask me questions if you have any. So what I realized is that after 2 to 3 weeks, when I was constantly organizing the Q&As, then people stopped coming back to me. They were like, okay, this person will just push the agenda. Okay, there's a timeline. And this person will have no patience at that point in time. So despite the program, which was about succession planning, it was a beautiful program, but it spectacularly failed. And then I was like, okay, what did I do wrong? Maybe I'm not capable. So that self-doubt then starts to come in, right? So that is what has happened with me. It happened 4 or 5 years ago, but I still distinctly remember it.
Thank you. I hope you still don't judge yourself for that. So
now I don't. Now I know what's the problem and what do I need to do. So And again, it comes
Excellent.
through that state of samatva. Like you have to like still sit and like not rush into
Yes.
things, right? Be
Yes.
calm, and that stuff helps.
Thank you. Thank you. All glories to Krishna. So it's helping people. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So you have an idea now what Krishna is teaching and how it helps not just others, it helps ourselves too, which is very important. And then Krishna is turning the teaching inward in a much deeper way. So in 3.30, he tells Arjuna, he's not telling Arjuna just what not to do with others. He tells Arjuna how he himself has to live. That's why this is a very powerful instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. I think this is, in my personal opinion, one of the most powerful instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, where the 3.30 I mean. So what Krishna is saying there is, place all actions in me. Act with Adhyatma Chetasa. Become Nirashi. Become Nirmamaha. And then he using the term Yudhyasva Vigatajvaraha. Fight the battle of life free from fever. Very interesting use of the word. This is where the teaching becomes even brighter, where Krishna is no longer only speaking about psychology, now he is helping Arjuna stabilize himself. So he is saying, Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya. Offer all actions in me, renounce all actions in me. Does it look like just a poetic phrase? No, it is a very radical reorientation of the inner mindset, because as we just spoke, normally we are acting from self-reference. Like, I work so that I become something. I give so that I can be seen in a certain way. I serve so that I can feel worthy. Even noble actions, they all have a subtle thread. We may not realize it, but there is still a subtle thread that binds it to our own ego, our own ahankara, knowingly or unknowingly. And Krishna is asking Arjuna to loosen that thread. Loosen that, what binds him. So Krishna is also showing his deeper nature. He is not merely one person advising another person. Krishna is the divine. So Krishna is the divine ground in whom all actions can be offered, and that's what Krishna is saying. He's saying, I am the inner reality behind the Prakriti itself. No, it will become more explicit in later chapters. But he is presenting it kind of briefly here. Please take down this Upanishad, Shvetasvatara Upanishad 4.10, where it beautifully says that no Prakriti to be Maya. I think everybody understands this much. Prakriti is Maya. And the great Lord is the master of this Maya. I think that also is clear. And this whole universe is pervaded by beings who are his expressions. So all it is saying is, we say that everything is manifestation. Everything we see is manifested energy. But manifested by who? The power of manifestation, that is Yoga Maya, that is Maya itself. So we attribute Maya to everything. But then Krishna is the master of that Maya itself. So when Krishna says whatever you do is driven by Prakriti, what is the safest way to overcome them? Is offer it to the master of Prakriti. So that is Krishna's kind of beautiful myth. That is what it is not an egoistic statement saying, me, me, me. Krishna is saying, I am the master of Maya. I am the master of Prakriti. Prakriti is what is pushing you. Prakriti is what is making you dance. Prakriti is what is making you do things sometimes even without you wanting to do it. And it lands up creating so much bondages. And if you want to get freed, the easiest thing is, if Prakriti is troubling you, offer your actions to the master of Prakriti. Is it not very logical, very beautiful? That is Krishna's message here. So yes, gunas are functioning, but it is all working through Prakriti, but Prakriti is not the ultimate truth. There is a deeper presence. Mayi sarvani karmani. So he's asking Arjuna not to remain trapped on the surface of life. Don't see only the, for example, you go to a magic show, and the magic, you are totally spellbound, which is okay, but is that magic real? most of the times the magic is not real. But then the magician, isn't the magician more real than the magic? That is the question here. We have to remember the magician. Don't lose sight of the magician just because you are so lost in the magic. So Krishna is giving 3 inner conditions, and each one carries great practical depth. First is Nirashi. Nirashi is often translated free from expectation, or free from craving also, you can say. We have to take care that Nirashi doesn't mean indifference. It just means free from expectation and craving. Like the body, for example, when we do something, the body is in the present, but the mind is already in the future. Why? Because we kind of just start studying for an exam, but already we are thinking about whether I'm going to come first, whether I'm going to come second. You just started, it is your first project, but you're already thinking about whether it's going to result in a promotion or whether it is going to result in you being fired. You are doing something, but your mind is always already in the future because there is expectations, attachments, all those things. We have to act with sincerity, but without the anxiety that comes because of our expectation to the results. That is Nirashi. Then the second is Nirmamaha. Nirmamaha is freedom from the sense of mine. Mama. This is one of the deepest knots in the human heart, because mindness is not just about your material possession. That mindness is about identity. Like my work, my child, my pain, my sacrifice, my teaching, my progress. Endless my. And through this language of mine, this is where the ego keeps projecting itself into the world. And because of this, every projection of the ego leads to anxiety and defensiveness. So when Krishna says Nirmamaha, he's not asking Arjuna to just stop caring. He's telling Arjuna, learn to care without being possessive. How many of us can do that? Like Krishna says, I'm not telling you don't care, but I'm saying care without being possessive. How many of it's not a beautiful teaching? Yeah. So Meji, you had a question here?
Yeah, Guruji, beautiful point about Nirmam, and because my daughter is just here, so it just struck me that kids do usually a lot of mine. Like this is mine, give me this, give me that. So any tips on like how do we avoid putting that mum or like mine thing into the kids from their like formative ages itself?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Beautiful question. There is no like formula for this, but in general, that's why they say that children have to be taught the beauty of sharing. So when you give them a chocolate, tell them, can you share some with me? Or if your child has a brother or a sister, you give them something and tell them, can you share it with? That has to be done very regularly, right from the early age. Definitely, we cannot talk Vedanta to a child. So, and also, I'm not personally recommending this, but there are other learned sages who have said that you should also make the child get used to no as an answer every once in a while. All the time saying yes and all the time giving everything the child wants is not necessarily an act of love from your side. So if you really see, this is like if you look at the Mahabharata, the key problem of the Mahabharata. Because there was a father who couldn't say no to his son. There was a father who couldn't correct his son. He was giving in to everything his son was making a demand for, and that resulted in a Duryodhana. A very important lesson. So you cannot do it by force. This lesson applies perfectly in this context. You cannot yell at the child saying, how dare you say mine? No, that's definitely not going to work. Because the child feels some kind of safety and security when they can talk like this to their parents. So don't, please take that away don't be harsh, no hinsa, but it has to be done with a lot of patience and a lot of compassion. Trying to understand where that is coming from. What is causing that my? Is it insecurity? Is it just a need for attention? No, and you try to address that slowly. I thought Simranji was raising. Simranji wanted to say something.
Yes, Guruji, I was trying to say that elder people earlier used to say that we should have two kids so that they learn sharing. If there is a single child, they don't learn sharing their things with other children. So that's the example what you were saying.
Yes, you are right. But however, I would say, it is not the child who needs a sibling. It is a parent who needs another child. Because, when there is only one child, the parent doesn't know how to handle that. So, yes. But yeah, it's a good point. So we had Nirashih, then we had Nirmamah, and the third important one is Vigatajvaraha. Very beautiful, unique word. As I said, it technically just means free from fever. And then because Jvaraha literally means fever, and then you would wonder what is Kṛṣṇa talking about. It's a very, but that word is beautiful here because a lot of us know what that feels like. See, for example, you are waiting for your results of your exam. The results are going to come tomorrow. Or you're waiting for the results of your interview. You're going to get it tomorrow. A lot of us, don't we feel that my stomach doesn't feel good, or my heart feels. So that is what Kṛṣṇa is calling as fever. So that is caused by our anxiety. And all Kṛṣṇa is saying is, learn to perform actions without that kind of mental fever. And Sri Kṛṣṇa is saying, Yudhyasva Vigatajvaraha. Yuddha, fight, but without that mental fever. What a profound teaching. Do work, but without tension. Do your duty without that inner fever. Perform actions without that anxiety of what the result is going to be. Because a lot of people think that showing that anxiety is a sign of sincerity. Tell me, have you not felt like that? That a person, if he is, what is going to happen? What's going to happen? Somehow we attribute sincerity to that. Oh, this person is so sincere. They care. Isn't it? And if there is one more person who is like chilled, we somehow immediately we will say that person doesn't care. But Kṛṣṇa's teaching is the other way around. Kṛṣṇa is saying, truly care. When you truly care, all your attention will be in doing a good job. That is caring. But if you don't do a good job, only then you should have anxiety of whether I'm going to pass. So Kṛṣṇa says, learn to act without that kind of inner fever. So Kṛṣṇa has already told us in 2.48, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, where he said equanimity is what is called as yoga. And in 2.50, Kṛṣṇa had said, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam, yoga is skill in action. Some of you may remember this. This may at least sound familiar. And all these teachings are coming together here, where Kṛṣṇa is saying, real skill in action is not determined by anxiety. Real strength is not noisy. So when your mind is inwardly calm, your actions become cleaner and they become less wasteful. There is one more Upanishad, please take down. Isha Upanishad, verse 2. Basically, that verse is saying the same thing. It means, act in such a way that karma does not stick to you. That is the whole secret. So action continues, but bondage reduces. Life continues, but ego loses its hold on life. We have to be very honest because the teaching sounds beautiful, but as I said yesterday, the problem is once it starts getting personal. If Kṛṣṇa is telling this to Arjuna, it all feels beautiful. But if it is you who is supposed to implement this, if it is me who is supposed to implement, then it is no longer that pleasant. Why? Why is it not pleasant? Who can tell me why we don't find it pleasant if we are the ones? Yes, Chitraji.
It's our ego that gets hurt.
Thank you. Ahankara. It's our ahankara which doesn't let us accept, acknowledge, or internalize. Because the ahankara always wants to be in the center. Ahankara always wants to feel like it is important. It matters. So when Kṛṣṇa says that all actions, you are not the doer, the ahankara is already feeling upset. And then when Kṛṣṇa says, don't keep any expectations, don't have mindness, why do you all the time have that me? The ahankara is even more upset. So when the ahankara is upset, tremendous resistance. So I hope all of you can introspect a little honestly, and you will realize the truth in all of this. And the other reason, of course, we have discussed earlier that we all live in a scarcity mindset. It's not just materially, but even emotionally and even spiritually. The scarcity mindset catches up because something in us keeps saying there is not enough love, there is not enough safety, there is not enough recognition, there is not enough this, enough that. And then the expectation feels very natural. No? Anxiety then feels like caring. And fever then feels like sincerity. So when we hear, no, Vigatajvaraha, then we may misunderstand and we may say, is Kṛṣṇa asking us not to care? That is not you who is asking that question. That is your ahankara asking that question. Because Kṛṣṇa is not asking you to be cold. He is saying, be free from that heated egoistic involvement. See, this is why I was saying earlier that your ahankara will start pretending. It will start using spiritual language to protect all the old patterns. Like you may speak nicely about guṇas and surrendering and all of that. And we may also say that everything belongs to Bhagavan. But how many of us really mean it? How many of us can truly say that that is how we mean that? Yeah, recently I heard an interview, not recently, maybe a few months ago, of Premanand Maharaj in Vrindavan. So he has this small satsangs, and there was one lady. So in some sampradayas, there is this concept of Sharanagati Kriya. So there is a process, there is an initiation that happens, and there you tell your guru that I surrender to you, and then the guru will, initiate you. And it is kind of a formal process. It happens in some sampradayas. So there is this lady who was sitting in the satsang, and she was asking Premanandji Maharaj that मैंने तो वो शरणागति ले ली है, मतलब I have taken that surrender initiation, मगर मेरा मन फिर भी विचलित रहता है. Like my mind is still disturbed, my mind is still, See, such an answer can come only from a Mahatma. So he calmly looks at her and he says, मेरा मन, my mind, then what did you surrender really? Such a beautiful answer. So you see the power of that. If you have truly surrendered, what do you mean my mind is? It's no longer your mind. You see? So that is why the question is, when you say Atma Samarpan, or when you say I love, I surrender, how much of it? Like, how can you feel hurt if you have surrendered? Because who is feeling hurt? My ego. But what did you surrender? Did you not surrender your ego also? Did you not surrender your myness also? It's a very powerful message. We may admire this word, nirmamaha, and all of that, but these teachings have to become a way of life. So now if I just say, Kṛṣṇa was telling Arjuna that, Arjuna, dude, you need to completely surrender, you need to completely let go. It feels beautiful. But if I tell you, Chitra, you have to surrender. Deepa, you have to surrender. Soumya, you have to surrender. Praveen, you have to completely surrender. How does it feel? It's not that comfortable anymore. Because now it's personal. But that is where the teachings have to start becoming internalized. That is Kṛṣṇa's very powerful teaching for all of us. Again, take down this Upanishad, Katha Upanishad 1.3.3 and 1.3.4. We have already discussed this in the past. It goes like Atmanam Ratinam Viddi Shariram Ratam Evatu. So this is where the pictorial representation is given, where it says that the self is the lord of the chariot, the body is the chariot, the intellect is the charioteer, the mind is the reins, the senses are the horses, so on and so forth. That is why in many popular versions of Bhagavad Gita, this picture is put on the cover page, where Krishna being a Sarathi and those 5 white horses and that beautiful chariot, this is all very symbolic because it represents the architecture of the human body, human mind. So very, very powerful. So why I am talking about that Upanishad here is now it will become very clear that we are not truly free at all, because we have such a mechanism. There are the reins and there are the horses and there is the chariot and so much comes into play. So you are not going from point A to point B entirely out of your own whatever. And that is very, very important. And the intellect should be the one who is actually guiding the whole system, but many times the intellect starts to prefer what is convenient rather than what is correct. So that is why Shreya versus Preya is so important, because if Shreya versus Preya is not internalized, then you will never always go in the right direction, because then the intellect is always going in the direction of comfort. But you need to understand all of that in the context of what we just studied now in these shlokas. That is why Krishna says, don't be under the illusion that you are the doer. Don't be under the illusion that you are acting completely freely. That's not what is going on here. And Krishna has complete awareness of all of this. That's why he can talk so authoritatively. And now what does faith really mean here? Because we just spoke about faith and surrender. What does faith means? So Krishna makes a promise in 3.31. That promise is simple also. That promise is extraordinary also. In 3.31, Krishna says, those who constantly practice this teaching of mine with profound faith and free from envy, they are released from the bondage of karma. Beautiful, because we all know that actions create bondage. So how many of you agree with this statement, actions create bondage? Everybody agrees. Is there somebody who disagrees that action creates bondage? Okay, one person disagrees. You dare disagree? Okay, let's see why that person disagrees. Yes.
Action itself is not good or bad. It's our mindset or intent which creates that bondage.
Okay. Clap. Yes. Krishna's message is most of the time our mindset is not in the right place. That is human. That is a human condition. That is why in general actions land up creating bondage. And so Krishna is giving this promise. He's saying, but if you follow this method of action, then you can escape bondage, and the same action can take you towards liberation. Same action. You don't have to do anything different. Whatever you are doing right now, Krishna is saying, if you do it with this way, the way I am asking you to do it, it may take you towards liberation. That is why Bhagavad Gita is so important for everybody. Millions of souls are going to benefit from that, because we are all caught up in the battlefield of life. We are all fighting our own yuddha. And Krishna is saying, you can gain liberation even while fighting your battles. So don't think that one day my situation will improve, one day I will not have any yuddha to fight, and then I will sit and do something to gain liberation. Krishna is saying, no, these battles are your opportunities. He's saying these battles are your best opportunities, because if you fight those battles just the right way with the right mindset, that itself will take you towards liberation. That is the compassionate, powerful teaching coming from Krishna to all of us. So this is a great assurance to all the working people, all the struggling people of the planet. The key words here are Shraddhavantaha, which is full of faith, and Anasuyantaha, without envy or fault finding. And this is Shraddha does not mean just blindly follow something that somebody is saying. It is not, Krishna is not saying accept anything I say because I am God. Have you seen this language anywhere in the Bhagavad Gita? It is something much more. Krishna is talking about the quality of the heart that allows the teaching to enter and begin working. So Krishna is saying, don't always bring the ego-based intellect. Don't always, Pehredar, the gatekeeper, don't always, when someone is telling something that is true, instead of immediately acknowledging, accepting, the intellect wants to play games, intellect wants to argue, intellect wants to show that it knows something better and all of that. And that is the opposite of having Shraddha. Shraddha means, if you say you surrender to Guru, or if you say you surrender to God, then if they say something, you just accept, you just acknowledge. That is Shraddha. So, and when we look at it through bhakti, the whole teaching becomes even better. So, there is some of you know it, some of you don't. There is a text called Narada Bhakti Sutras. So, you can take it down. Sutra 19, you can go and revise that. So, Narada Bhakti Sutra, Sutra 19, Naraji will say that when all thoughts, all words and all deeds are given up to the Lord, and when the least forgetfulness of the Lord makes you very miserable, then you can say that you are getting on the path of divine bhakti. Two things Naraji says. First thing, are you able to offer everything to the Lord? Everything means your thoughts, your words, your actions. Are you able to at least mentally say, I offer it all to the Lord? And second, do you feel like you always have to remember the Lord, and even a temporary forgetfulness makes you feel miserable? If these two things are there, then that means you are well on the path to that kind of a divine love. So the key is offer everything. Why I am taking this sutra? This sutra is complementing 3.31. That Krishna says the same thing. Krishna says, offer all your actions and to me. That is the whole philosophy here. And again, Krishna, when he says Shraddha, it is not about don't ask questions. Shraddha is about ask the right questions the right way. That is the biggest difference between a prashna and a pariprashna. Shirdi Sai Baba has said the same thing. Bhagavan Krishna has said the same thing. Naraji is saying the same thing. All the great saints, they all say the same thing. That is why they say humility. Humility basically means when you ask a question, it is because you genuinely want to understand something. You are not asking to show off your own knowledge. Or you are not asking just to question the teacher. Like, oh, you think you know a lot. Okay, answer this. That is a waste. That is a waste of time for you and the teacher. So Shraddha doesn't mean don't ask questions. Shraddha means ask questions, but ask them in the right mindset. In fact, this reminds me something, and that is why I want to say how grateful I am to all of you. Is I had a quick chat with a very young Gujarati family. They live in the East Coast, and of course I have been in touch with them for a few months because they contacted me. They said, "Oh, we found you through Pragmatic Gita, and we have been listening to the podcast, and it is making an impact." I felt nice. Oh, it's helping somebody. But then we stayed in touch, and eventually, like after many failed attempts, today finally I said, "Okay, let's meet." So we had a quick meeting, but one of the very beautiful things they said is, it's a very young family, but one of the most beautiful things they said is, your sessions and your whatever you say in the podcast definitely makes a lot of impact. However, the questions that your satsang members ask, they said that strikes accord with them. They feel so connected with it because many times they feel like, oh, those are my questions. So that is why I'm grateful to you, and I keep encouraging you to participate more, because that is the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. The entire Bhagavad Gita is because Arjuna had questions. If Arjuna just said, okay, I get it, there would be no Bhagavad Gita, right? But Arjuna asks the question the right way. And that is what we are talking about here. Shraddha doesn't mean don't ask questions. Ask questions. Ask the right questions with the right bhava. That will help you also. And that is actually going to help everyone else who is listening to your question. So like this person today told me, so I'm passing on the thanks to all of you. This person told me that the questions from the satsang members really helped, and I feel very nice that some of those questions are my questions. I was like, okay, I have to convey this thanks to my satsang family. So thank you. I'm grateful to all of you. Continue your pariprashna and let that strengthen your shraddha. Maybe very quickly I can talk about how this applies in the workplace, because many people at work, this is very important, because a lot of us, we feel exhausted at work. But if we do a lot of introspection, you will realize that feeling of I'm exhausted does not come because of the work. It comes because of all the attachments and expectations and anxieties related to the work. And that is Krishna's message. Because if you do the opposite, if you listen to Krishna and if you learn to work without that inner tension, without that inner fever, then your work will feel lighter even if the workload is heavy. Otherwise, what happens? The work is not the real culprit. The culprit is all the extra noise that is going on. That is Krishna's message. And relationships, the same thing. No, it can be a marriage, it can be caregiving. Because what happens is, it is seldom about just the action. It is seldom about what we do. It is about all the hidden expectations that even we are not aware of. No, because we do something and then we want appreciation. We support somebody but we want to be understood. We sacrifice but we want that sacrifice to be glorified. And whenever the response does not come, the hurt very quickly comes. And then we start getting into nobody appreciates me, nobody understands me, nobody values me, nobody. No, so what happens? Yeah, there may be some truth in that, but the problem is the mind will add a lot of fever to the pain. And that is what causes the real issues. The real mental trauma comes from that. This is where Nirashihi and Nirmanaha becomes very practical. So Krishna is not saying don't engage. Krishna is not saying don't care in your relationships. Krishna is in fact saying love more deeply, and pay all your attention to the love and not to the expectations. Don't bargain in your relationship. So it's a very powerful message. Again, it's not that easy when it's personal, but this is the truth. So what Krishna is finally asking of us in these verses is mature participation in life. And he's saying if you internalize these teachings, a very different quality will start to enter your life. Life will feel different. That's the beauty. Krishna is not asking us to leave your life. Krishna is not asking us to stop your actions. Krishna is not saying stop doing actions or stop caring in order to find freedom. He's saying live life and care and love in a way that it will take you towards liberation. I hope all this makes sense. Any questions, any comments? I was thinking if we have time, I can probably, because it's been a while, so if anybody, if you are busy, if you want to drop, feel free to drop. But I was thinking out otherwise, after the question answer session, we could have a small meditation session as well. And whoever has time can stay. Okay, so any questions, comments, inputs? I'll give you some time. I hope all this teaching is making sense. Okay, Shalmali ji.
Guruji, I want to tell you one thing. Like last week, we had non-violent communication. So I feel like whatever we are learning, I feel everything is there. Like now, whenever I see the podcast, like regarding the encouragement or life lessons, everything is in Gita. So I feel that everybody should just follow the Gita. But Guruji, I'm too immature. So the other day when my father was, there was some issue with the temple back home. So I was telling, but I said, I'm not pure, but I'm trying to give you some advice, which is I know, and I can tell you. Long story short, so it's helping me a lot in a big way, Guruji. So for small things, I'm still struggling. I don't ask you question because of the I'm afraid. But there are so many questions in my mind which comes, but I don't know how I can ask you because I'm afraid. I'm letting you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. There is no need to be afraid. Yes, struggling is a good sign. It's good that you're at least mindful and aware. Everything, anybody else? Anything? Or does it make sense? Is it all striking a chord? Okay then. So then let us do a short meditation. So what I can do, because we spoke about surrender now, and before the session began, I was talking with a young, dynamic person. This topic probably is relevant. So let me play this meditation. This is the meditation that we will practice to get guidance from that divine to help us with whatever major challenge we are facing in our life. Okay, are we all ready? This is a guided meditation, so just follow what I'm saying. So for the first 2 minutes, please close your eyes and be aware of what's going on in your mind, and be aware of what is that one big problem or what is that one big confusion that seems to keep coming in your mind now. Because any major challenge, if you really have a major challenge, your mind is going to echo that the moment you try to become calm. So be aware of that. It can be an academic challenge, it can be a personal challenge, financial challenge, doesn't matter. Just pay attention, be aware. See what that challenge looks like. There may be clutter, maybe 2 or 3 challenges come to mind, but pay attention. Ask yourself, which of these is really the biggest problem I'm facing? Which of these is the biggest challenge in front of me? Once you have got some idea of what is that one challenge that seems to be bothering you, tell yourself, acknowledge. Just acknowledge. Say, I am confused. I don't seem to know the right path. I don't seem to know how to solve it the most effective way. Now we are seeking guidance now. In your mind, just repeat, Sishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapannam. Sishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapannam. O Krishna, I am your student. I surrender to you. Teach me. Guide me. I have taken refuge in you. Show me the path. Pay attention to Once you said, I surrender, once you said, guide me, once you are letting go of this illusion of control, let go. Let go the illusion of control. Tell Krishna, I don't know how to solve this, but I have surrendered to you now. Tell me, guide me. So now be aware again. Once you surrendered, how do you feel? What is that feeling that is coming? Pay attention to that. Do you feel relief? Do you feel some kind of openness? Or do you feel any kind of fear? If you are feeling fear, it just means that we need to work more on our faith. If you are feeling relief, it means the faith is already coming. Now, you have surrendered. Now you have asked for guidance. Now imagine placing that big challenge in the hands of Krishna. Imagine that you have given your problems to him. Tell Krishna, I am surrendering my need to control. Try to quieten your mind. Be aware and see if you can actually feel a calmness coming over you. This is very important. And if you can feel the calmness, you are on the right path. Because now, in that calmness, pay attention. See if there is any kind of inner guidance that just seems to come up. Whatever it is, be receptive. Don't intellectualize. Don't argue with yourself. Pay attention to your mind. See if some kind of guidance is coming. See if some kind of answers or some kind of hints are coming. Just pay attention, that's all. Be open, be receptive. Now just fold your hands and thank Krishna. Say, Krishna, from now onwards, I am surrendered. From now onwards, I am your student. From now onwards, I continuously seek your guidance. Please guide me. Please continue to guide me. Hare Krishna. Yeah, now you can open your eyes. This is a very, very powerful exercise that you can do yourself later on. And did anybody feel calmness? Excellent. So I see a lot of people saying they feel calm. Okay. I won't guarantee that everybody found a guidance. If you found anything, that is excellent. But if not, don't lose heart. You have to repeat this. Make it a habit. And whenever you feel like you got any kind of guidance or any kind of tips, in that state of mind, okay, many times what happens, we think we are getting some guidance, but we are not in the right state of mind. So we don't really know if it is the right guidance. Everything is energy. When we open ourselves up, negative will also come in, positive will also come in. And how do we know which is what? By making sure we are in the right state of mind. And the first part of the meditation was preparing ourselves. So once we prepare ourselves, once we are in the right state of mind, and then if you repeat this exercise yourself, do this daily. For any kind of challenge we have, do this daily. And you will get some guidance. And when you get some guidance, write it down. Write it down in your journal and revisit it. Okay? Reflect upon it. And I can assure you that this kind of exercise is very powerful because it conditions your subconscious mind. And sometimes you may not even realize that the guidance is already coming. You will not even realize, but you will end up doing the right things. You will end up saying the right things. And you will end up actually solving your problems or getting closer to solutions. So I hope this helps all of you. Hare Krishna. So Meji, you had to say something.
Just Guruji, I'm not sure if, but but I think we should invite everybody for the April 4th event. I'm not sure if we have posted it on Telegram yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But very few are in Vancouver. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, our satsang members are spread everywhere. We are people from Dubai and India, and so yeah. What Somaji is talking about is we are starting another Bhagavad Gita session here in Vancouver, and on 4th of April it's going to be an in-person event. We have booked a room, and I heard there are some devotees who told me that they would appreciate the experience of learning Bhagavad Gita in a physical satsang. So for a long time I kept thinking, I don't know if I will have so many people, but somehow I felt inspired this time. So and things are just moving. It's all Krishna's grace. So next week we are going to have this Bhagavad Gita in-person inauguration here. So if anybody is around, if they're interested, I can share the link as well. Thank you so much. Lakshmi ji, you wanted to say something?
I want to join that one too.
Oh, okay. You're welcome.
Yeah. It's different. No, when you're telling something, will come to me. Okay, but also listening is, I like it.
Okay. I'll share the link. I'll share the link in the Telegram group. So this is going to be Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Vancouver time. So you can calculate what's going to be for the rest of you. So I'll share the link, and it's hybrid. So the plan is we will meet once a month, and for the remaining 3 weeks, it's going to be a Zoom. And even the day of the in person, there are some people who cannot come in person. They will join via Zoom. So it's a hybrid kind of a setting. And already one person said he would like to volunteer to make chai for everybody, and one person said he would like to bring. So it's all like Krishna is now in hands. So he started the he started the program already. So okay then. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, and see you all in the next session. Until then, loads of love and blessings to everybody. And may you all have Krishna's grace with you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.